Welcome back, my viewers, to another episode of the Williams Shepard, brought to you in part by BPUA, Black Paralegals Undergraduates Association. Also, Channel 49 TV. We want to thank those that are in charge for bringing you another special episode of the Williams Show. Oh, my shirt. Let's take a look. It's this. It's not a throwback. It's just a regular shirt. See, it's not a throwback this time. But my hat, what do y'all think about my hat? My Texas hat with the brown on there, right? All right. So, food for thought today. So, what are we going to be talking about? And what are we going to be dealing with today? Are we going to be food for thought? We're going to have a lot of special guests. I'm going to be bringing a lot of special guests in. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We're going to have a lot of good topics. One of the main things that we're going to be dealing with is what are we really going to do to bring about the dominated change we're going to need to go into the millennial 2022 to 2020s. Let's just say the 2020s. Food for thought. What are we going to do in the 2020s? Because we can't do what we did in the 20 teens and in the early millennial. What are we going to do? Food for thought. So, I don't know. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing with BPUA. We're going to be bringing some really special guests in to really talk about the way the law is, how how the law have infringed on their lives, how the SORNA law have, how the Adam Walsh Act have, how all these are different acts, how the Berlin Declaration, how that have played in their lives. People don't even understand and don't know what some of these things are, early America terms and things that they use for to suppress voting. And even then, when the Berlin Declaration, was the ironclad oath, if you were found with treason, then you couldn't hold office again. Then come with all these other added punitive elements. And even the second part of the Berlin Declaration, subsection 17, Article 17, subsection 2. Subsection 1 is, holding the office with, and then the oath, it was just a handshake. And that was the ironclad oath, the handshake. And so they said, well, certain things you can't talk about, certain things you can't reference to, and they held it to the core. Because they knew the trouble that came with it if they were found guilty of doing anything that they had shaken on hand or blood or whatever sacrifice that they had done to made that real. But there was another part in that clause that said that, but after something been adjudicated, you no longer can add more punitive elements to that. Travel restrictions, all these other type of job-related restrictions, castrating a person from being able to live in certain housing, certain areas. There's certain areas in Texas that under certain chapters, you can't even buy property there. If you bought it, they boycott you and sell it off by Monday. You actually can't even buy it there. There's places you can't even go to in the gated community areas and stuff like that. I'm on my hat this way. Yeah, I like it like that too. Rock it like that for a little while. Y'all think. Back to the left side. Yeah. To the left side. Back to the boom. And this is a shame, because what happens is that you can't you can't function. And that's not a fair deal, not to be able to function. You want to be able to function. You want to be able to be part of society. And that's what happens with race relations. We're not a part of society. But added to that is when we have to deal with laws, regulations, procedures, policies, ordinance, city, state, federal, county, rules. When you're dealing with these different type of state ordinances and sovereignties, and then they get into ignorance of the law. They don't excuse you for that. You just got to know every damn thing they make up. You got to sleep with them, and sleeping with the enemy is probably a good thing. That way you're at least laid down knowing what they finna wake up doing. But it doesn't mean just sleeping with the enemy or staying with the enemy verbatim or for real. It really means we need to be on the lookout of whatever it is, and have a group that is set aside just to really monitor whatever agencies that's coming out with stuff new, whatever they hear new, whatever new laws is coming up. We need people to be able to counter that, and we need to be able to pay those people a good salary to just do research for us. It's going to be crucial for black folks. If we're going to have a community and it's going to be fortified within our own, and we're going to be a nation within one, we're going to have that type of groups of intelligence to be able to at least know what the dominant society is doing. At least one thing we had good when especially in East Garland, on Parker Circle and on Real whoever, we had the informers who knew, our informers, our young brothers who knew what other people was doing. They were able to get around them and come tell us what they doing, and they come tell us all the time, such and them over there doing such and they finna get ready to go down such and them finna fight over there, such they come tell us, no, we can't get around them. How they getting around? They were so not important that they just could get around. And we got people still like that. They're so not a threat. They could get inside of those entities and those big places, and they can report back to us what it is that's really going on, what laws are changing. We got those people. I can't say they signed up. They ain't sold in. They ain't up there for that particular purpose to report back to the black community what's going on, or report back to us. We better be on the lookout for this, that, and the other, or say, hey, look, there's some things that's happening, and we could give you a little bit of insight on what it is, and then you take that information and do what you're going to do with it. But here's some places that probably be relevant that could be used at, and then that's the start. Don't just give us the information, give us what's relevant to where it could be used at, and how it could be used. That's the reason why I did this particular book here. This is just one copy of it, but what a building is right there, it says Felony Convictions. And we talk about this. We talk about, especially dealing with Chapter 62 of the SORNA law, something like that, or the Adam Walsh Act, or the General Assembly, and support that book. Those are for, particularly, you can get it from me. That information is right there. See it? Ding. There it is. Right. Yeah. Now, and that's how you get the book. Okay? And just hit me up, get the book. And when you purchase it, go through it. I'm not just dealing with that. I'm talking about some history that I've dug up on some history on some things, just from me personally, and then some documentaries. Some documentaries I got off of that. Some documentaries. We'll go through some of the books, but I don't want to. You have to purchase it. But it's a magazine too, so it's a book magazine. So it's some nice pictures in the book, and then some magazine, and then it got some illustrations and talks about a lot of the things that need to one would need to do, um, according to the level of risk level that they are, whatever it is. The situation is, if they want to non-disclose their record, expungement is one thing, different than the non-disclosure. 80% non-disclosure. Expungement is 100% of the records. In the non-disclosure, under that particular chapter, they'll say, well, then, they'll give a rebuttal to DA or a prosecutor, give a rebuttal to an exportee and say, it either needs to be adjudicated or a dismissal case was dismissed or thrown out, or some other forms of adjudication, along with the 411/81 order, and then they'll use a 411/72 or 71 or something like that to rebuttal and say, well, that the state don't have to comply because of the legislation. We don't have to really allow you to non-disclose your record. So these are some of the things that we deal with and we talk about in law, and we really need to have a community of people and negate and debate these issues and really have that agency, that inside agency, just for ourselves. And I'm just giving an idea to people. I would like to have it. I would like to get that small group of agencies. Hey, look, we just look up stuff. We just find stuff. We want to narrate it. We want to put it together. We want to see what it really is and what we come up with in the long term of what we got and what we gather. Because this is what they finna be doing. And so then once we gather it, what do we do with what we have? We need to make something of it, do something with it. Not so much as counteract it, but defend ourselves. Go on defense, because that agency will be the defense, and then we have other agencies out there that's our offense. So we'll be import export, and that's what we'll be doing as a nation of people inside of a nation. And this is not from me. This is from gathering other sources and reading other sources and just hearing it. And then just living here and knowing that's a good idea anyway. It don't take a whole lot of reading a lot of different stuff to say, yeah, that's the situation we need to be in and that we need to be a part of. Our damn selves first and foremost. Other people should come last. Family shows you that family comes first. But family in the community, in the black community, have been dead last, because that's what we have been doing. We've been letting our family be last. And I'm guilty too. Let family be last. Family done something and hurt us. And hurt me bad. Real bad. And hurt me bad enough to where I had to stay away from family. And that's a good thing, because that keep you away anyway. So I might as well stay away freely than allow some entity to keep me away. So let me stay away just freely. And when it becomes too much, too heated or too flamed, a family situation, once that situation dies, and that's the reason why we'll be doing a lot of different interviews with a lot of different people. So from a lot of different sides. We're going to be doing interviews with people that have gone through the 3 C's, the correctional control and confinement. I got it right. And then we're going to be going through people who have seen people go through that, and that they're their closest relative. It could be it a father, be it the maternal mother, be it the biological father, or be it a step, or be it a uncle or aunt, or be it a brother or a nephew or a niece or a cousin, or just a friend, or just be it a stranger, but just wearing the African American jingle pool. See, we need to be able to get, and then I'm going to be getting stories from my brothers and sisters who dealing with the homeless crisis. I've been in all avenues of all of this. Been on the streets and the homeless thing, been in the jails and in the prisons, worked in the jails and in the prisons, uh, worked as a paralegal, became one, didn't have an education, got a GED, got it, and lived on the streets, getting it. Went through the cold winters, the 2010 cold, free worse than the 2020 one. Um, uh, they lost power too still. It was the same thing, the 2010 one and the 2014 one. The 2010, 10, 11 one was the one that froze me to death. That was the Denton one. Um, went through those things and jumped those hurdles. Um, Racism, white male, female domination is dominating all of us in all shapes, forms, fashions, and aspects of life, regardless to the nature of your offense, or so-called, or allegations, or trumped up, regardless to whether it's true or regardless to whether it is made up. At the end of the day, all become a victim under racism, white male, female domination, regardless if you're under the 3 correctional control confinement, you're under the 3 C's, or if you're not, you're still under a control correction, and you're still under a certain type of confinement in your environment. Um, you just haven't got the felonized control confined. Um, you haven't got that, and because you haven't, you're not safe. You're really in a danger zone. Not saying get that, but you're in a danger zone. But you're in a safe haven because you haven't. You're still able to market yourself without that type of without them being able to go back to a felonized background or a misdemise background. See, because a misdemeanor background can deter them too, in the working class, because you presenting yourself as in a right to work state, um, as as a citizen that have equal rights, because you're not felonized, you just misdemised. But misdemised can mean leading over into felonized, and they'll look at certain misdemised and say you're doing little things that'll lead you into bigger things. So even minimized is a way for them to say you're going down a path, and that's the path that they can bird's eye view watch that, because minimized take you to greater, regardless to how small it start out. That's what they look at. They look at criminology from the microscope, and then the scope of it, the start of it, the beginning of it, how small it start. It ain't gonna start out big no way, from their understanding of it. Now, here's why it's important for us to have our own type of counter reaction to that, and be able to employ some of our people through our own community, and it could be called community development employment. Community development employment. Boom! I was just doing something way right there. Community development employment. Community development employment. Wow. We can do a community development employment. You developing strategies to develop the community while paying people to do the research. And then so then that could be funded, because that's the idea. It could be funded, and it could be something that means nothing in the end or means a whole lot in the end. You don't have a whole lot of information gathered. What to do with it is we're trying to develop and plan from this by understanding who it is that we're dealing with and why it is that we're having to deal with them this way. And this is why we have to deal with them this way. So since we have to deal with you this way, we already really have enough understanding of why whirlwind, how it took place, why it took place, and the things that we should do to make sure that these things don't further infringe on our future, and we vacate survival and just let somebody mow us down just because we're trying to get along with them in the end and be around them. You know, you come up with something to alleviate some of that in some type of shape, way, form, and fashion. I think some of the things that we're gonna really have to look at doing as I do these interviews with people is to understand their side and what of point of view in America and where they come in at in America and what they've contributed to America. And if they think that there's anything in America that have contributed to their demise or contributed to them being able to rise to the occasion under the so-called American dream that they've been robbed from. Me, others behind me, others before me, and people that are right here with me now. We see where we got robbed, how we was taken, and how we managed. And it ain't fair and it ain't easy. And somebody owe us. Somebody owe us. Somebody owe us bad. Other nations and races of people under the sun and under the stars and under America's radar been given back for damages that has happened to their natives and to their lands and to their people. And they've been accounted for and apologized to on numerous occasions and on a worldwide platform, letting you know we made mistakes, we done wrong, but again, for the African American people, for black folks, there's no mother country to say leave us alone. You know, if you did something to us in East Garland, man, we had our people back when we were coming up. You had to deal with our mama, our dad, our grandpeople, somebody you had to deal with. You had to answer to somebody about dealing with if you did something to one of us. You had to answer to somebody. You had a brother, you had somebody you had to answer to, at least. We don't have nobody to answer to, And then I don't like to hear where we keep throwing each other under the bus. You can't keep throwing each other under the bus, and that's the reason you ain't heard. Thing always reason. You have nobody to back us in any other place. No allies, no nothing to back. And I remember coming up in these golf. You really didn't have nobody to have your back. You was alone. You was by yourself, and you always approached by others who was trying to prove themselves to somebody who had their back, and that's where you be. You're a loner. You around those who having to prove themselves around people that actually got their back, whereas you ain't got nobody to have your back, and that's what we are as a race of people. Around other races of nations of people and tongues of people who have things to prove and want something, and they have something to prove on us, and we're the easiest people to go get it from, or to, use us to get in the right position to do it, and then forget all about that. That's how it happened, or play the dumb role. And we're the ones do all the work, the training, the labor, and everything like that. And somebody takes the position that we had, or we train them for something better that we were supposed to get, and it passed us over. But thank us for our labor and our dutifulness. Because what happens is we just become loyal for nothing. Where there should be another side to us, where we give as much work as we need to that side, but our loyalty and our dutifulness should be to our own. I often wonder, how is it that other races of people, they're able to go to work for outside races, and then I don't give no race in the example. Just for example, I've seen people go to work, different races of people go to work for another race of people while they building their own house, while they building their own stuff, and then still come and then put that loyalty, that extra effort into their own, and make it just as good. But they done gave 40 hours or 60 hours to their full-time job, but their project, they may have only spent, maybe out of the week, maybe 12 hours on theirs. But that's a 12 hours that they put in 36 hours worth of energy. And they make it within that 12 hours. I mean, they still do it. That's when you find yourself able to do for yourself and not wait on somebody to go do it. The donor design got to wait because they got it set up already to where they just put it out there and somebody need what they got. And we need to make a change for that. Somebody need what we have. And what is it that we have that somebody need that they ain't willing to pay for, but they'll take us out for it? Or they'll put us in a duration, or in through the 3 C's, correctional control, confinement, to get what we have that we don't realize is there. What is it that we have? Well, I'm out of time again. Thanks for joining the John Williams Show, Channel 49 TV. Thanks again. Thank you for having me. And until we meet again, right? Remember to support me in this book, The No Socially Outcast. Am I the New Casper? Have a good day.